Hello students. So welcome to a new topic of class 12 Pole Science Arts, and today's topic is non-aligned movement, and it's from chapter number 1 of part 1, that is contemporary world politics. From that book, it's from chapter number 1, that is Cold War and non-aligned movement. So from the same chapter, earlier we had completed the emergence of two power blocks. So we will be starting today non-aligned movement, that is NAM. So as you can see, we have already seen how the Cold War tended to divide the world into two rival alliances. Two rival alliances means this line is being discussed about how the Cold War divided the world actually into two alliances, that was Western and Eastern alliances headed by US and USSR. So this line is about that only. It was in this context that non-aligned offered the newly decolonized countries of Asia, Africa and Latin America a third option, that is not to join the either alliance. Clear? So regarding this, we had studied earlier also that what is the option of those countries who are gaining independence. Suppose say of example of India. So if India do not want to go to any of the alliances, so what is the option then? So the option was NAM actually, that is non-aligned movement, and it gave option to the newly decolonized countries, the new countries, those who gained freedom, that countries of Asia, Africa and Latin America, that gave them a third option, that is what? To join NAM. By joining NAM, what will happen? They will not have to join either of the alliance, that means either the Western alliance or the Eastern alliance. Without joining the two alliances, they will come to this third group, that is NAM. Clear? So the roots of NAM went back to the friendship between three leaders. Clear? That means we are now heading towards how the NAM actually came into being. What was the story behind that? So the roots of NAM went back to the friendship between three leaders: Yugoslavia's Josip Broz Tito, India's Jawaharlal Nehru and Egypt's leader Gamal Abdel Nasser, who had a meeting in 1956. So this is about the creation of NAM. How did it actually came into being? So it started with what? Between the discussions, and these discussions were between Yugoslavia, India and Egypt, three countries first. Altogether there are 5 countries, but in the starting it was only 3. And who are the leaders of that countries? Suppose Yugoslavia's leader was Josip Broz Tito. Clear? Then India's leader was Jawaharlal Nehru and Egypt's leader was Gamal Abdel Nasser. So these 3 leaders held a meeting in 1956. Clear? After that, Indonesia's Sukarno and Ghana's Kwame Nkrumah strongly supported them. After that, as I have told you, that the NAM consists of 5 countries. Earlier it was only 3: Yugoslavia, India and Egypt. After that, looking at their initiative, who joined later? Indonesia and Ghana. 2 more countries joined them. And who was the leader of Indonesia? Sukarno. And Ghana's leader's name was Kwame Nkrumah, who strongly supported them. That means that gave a total of 5 countries. Remember these 5 countries, they are the creator of NAM, and along with country's name you should also remember the leader's name also. Clear? Suppose Yugoslavia's Josip Broz Tito, India's Jawaharlal Nehru, Egypt's leader Gamal Abdel Nasser, then Indonesia's leader Sukarno and Ghana's leader Kwame Nkrumah. Remember this leader's name. So these 5 leaders came to be known as the 5 founders of NAM. The first non-aligned summit was held in Belgrade in 1961. This was the culmination of at least 3 factors. Clear? Then after these 5 countries met, after that these 5 countries only came to be known as what? The 5 founders of NAM. That means what? You can say that all the 5 countries were the 5 founders of NAM. Clear? So regarding this, the first non-aligned summit was held in Belgrade in 1961. So their first summit, that means first meeting of these 5 countries after the creation of NAM, was held in where? Belgrade, in a place called Belgrade in the year 1961. Remember this date, it's very important. Many a times what happens, this question comes actually in the short questions and answer. So remember, the first summit of NAM was held where? In Belgrade in 1961, and this was the culmination of at least 3 factors. Clear? And after that, after in a meeting, what it was decided actually, so 3 things were decided. Clear? In this meeting of 1961. So let's move ahead then. Now, number 1 was cooperation among these 5 countries. That means what? In a meeting which was held in 1961, they first decided that these 5 countries, as they were known as the 5 founder figures of NAM. So regarding this, the first thing they decided was that they will cooperate among each other. Clear? Number 2, growing Cold War tensions and its widening arenas. And they will also look after what? Whatever the growing Cold War tensions were there and its widening arenas. That means what? If these 5 countries are not going to any of the alliances, that means what? Tensions will be there, and the Western and Eastern alliance will of course put pressurizing on these countries, these 5 countries. So they will have a look at these also and its widening arenas also. So that means what will be the effect actually? If they don't join, what will be the pressure from the international side, from the Western and Eastern alliances? They will look after that also, these 5 countries altogetherly. Clear? And number 3, the dramatic entry of many newly decolonized African countries into the international arena. By 1960, there were 16 new African members in the UN. So as a result of NAM, first meeting of NAM, actually NAM was created why? For the reason that if newly independent countries don't want to go to either of the alliance, they will join NAM. So as a result of its foundation and after its first meeting held in Belgrade in 1961, what happened? 16 new African members came actually in the UN. UN means United Nations. So as a result of this only, these countries were nowhere. You would not have heard the name of these countries before, but after the creation of NAM, NAM gave them the platform, and after that 16 new African members were in the United Nations. Clear? That means whole of the world, out of that 16 new African members were there. That was included in the United Nations. After this, the first summit was attended by 25 member states. Remember, this first summit is being told about that summit which was held in Belgrade in 1961 only. That was accompanied by 25 member states. Clear? That means 25 member countries of NAM. Over the years, the membership of NAM has expanded. So as it was a first meeting, it was only 25, but year after year the membership, that means the country joining NAM, has increased. The latest meeting, the 14th summit, was held in Havana in 2006. It included 116 member states and 15 observer countries. So see its graph actually, how it's raising. That means in the first summit there were 25, and in the 14th summit, which was held in Havana in 2006, 14th number summit, that means meeting, was held in Havana in 2006, and what was the result then? It was attended by around 116 member states and 15 observer countries. The graph actually had gone up to a much higher level from 25 to 116, it jumped like anything, and 15 observers countries were also there, who were not members but they were the observer countries. Clear? As non-alignment grew into a popular international movement, countries of various different political systems and interests joined it. After that, what happened? Non-aligned became what? An international movement like situation it became. So due to that popularity that name gained within a very quick span of time, what was the result? The political systems, different political systems and interests joined it. That means you may call that various political systems of different countries also and interest groups also joined there regarding or seeing the popularity of NAM. This made the movement less homogeneous and also made it more difficult to define in very neat and precise terms. What did it really stands for? Increasingly, NAM was easier to define in terms of what it was not. It was not about being a member of an alliance. Clear? So as after getting popularity, many political systems also interests group also joined. So this created problem for what? For the NAM. It was not now can be told as homogeneous. That means whatever with what aim the NAM was actually created, it was slowly missing that because of the involvement of many interest groups and different political systems of the world. So now what was the question then? What did it really stand for? That means NAM stand for what we knew that earlier. It stand for what? To give a platform to the newly independent countries who don't want to go to either of the alliance. They may come and join NAM. This was actually the aim and mission of creating NAM. But now after involvement of this various political system and interest group, it created a problem for NAM itself. Now it was what? It was now NAM was easier to define in terms of what it was not. That means earlier we studied about why was NAM created, and now we can tell that why NAM is not. What is it has not included actually after coming of this political systems group and interest group. So it was not about being a member of an alliance. So it was not about what? Being a member of an alliance. This was not an alliance. This was to give the platform to the newly decolonized countries, those who gained independence. It was for that, but it was not for being a member of an alliance. It was going this way, unlike the Western and Eastern alliance. Clear? After that, the policy of staying away from alliances should not be considered isolationism or neutrality. That means it's about NAM. NAM was doing what? It was staying away from both the alliances. So staying away from both the alliances should not be considered or should not be called as isolationism or neutrality. That means what? Suppose you take the example of India. India was not joining any of the alliances, so India cannot be called as what? Isolationism or neutrality. Clear? Non-alignment is not isolationism, since isolationism means remaining aloof from world affairs. Why it cannot be termed? Suppose question might come that describe or give reasons why the NAM members or the NAM countries cannot be considered as isolationism or neutrality. So we will discuss both, why it cannot be called. Actually what happens? Isolationism means what? Any country being called isolationism, that means what? Remaining aloof from world affairs. That means that country will be nowhere in the scene. If it is not in any of the alliances, that means what? It cannot be called as isolationism. That means isolationism has some different meaning. It means what? It means remaining aloof from world affairs. That means completely diminished. But it sums up the foreign policy of the US from the American War of Independence in 1787 and up to the beginning of the First World War. So it can be, one example is also given how the US was totally isolated from when? from the period of American War of Independence in 1787 to the beginning of First World War. That means what? 1939. You can tell. So from 1787 to 1914, we are talking about First World War. That means what? Isolationism can be said to America by taking the example of America. When it was totally isolated, it diminished from the world affairs. From when? 1787 to the First World War, that is starting of the First World War, that is 1914. So that can be called isolationism, but the NAM members cannot be called as isolated. In comparison, the non-aligned countries including India played an active role in mediating between the two rival alliances in the cause of peace and stability. Clear? So we are talking about the first point, why NAM members cannot be called isolated. Isolated, why it cannot be told? Isolation means remaining aloof from the world affairs, but India was not, or other countries in the non-alignment was not, because they were doing what? They were not with any of the alliances, but they played an active role in mediating between the two rival alliances in the cause of peace and stability. That means what? The NAM countries were continuously making effort so that both the Soviet Union and the United States could reach to some extent of agreement, and they can start without fighting with each other. They could start peace and stability with each other. So in this way, NAM countries cannot be called as isolated, because the NAM countries were not remaining aloof from world affairs, and they were not remaining aloof. That means what they were doing? They were mediating. They were coming in middle of both the alliances of Western and Eastern alliances so that they can reach to some agreement of peace and stability. In this way, NAM countries cannot be told as isolated. Clear? Their strength was based on their unity and their resolve to remain non-aligned despite the attempt by two superpowers to bring them into their alliance. And what was their main issue? From far itself, that means what? By remaining aside from both the alliances, they will try to establish peace and stability between the two countries. Clear? But NAM countries will what? Will maintain their unity. They will not at all under any condition will go to the first or second alliance. Clear? Now we will learn about why can't the NAM be called as neutrality. Non-alignment is also not neutrality. Neutrality refers to principally to a policy of staying out of war. Clear? Neutrality means what? If you are neutral with someone, suppose India was neutral, cannot be called as neutral, because neutrality means what? If you don't involve yourself to any of the alliances, so what will happen? You should also stay out of war. If these two alliances fought war, you should stay out of it. So states practicing neutrality are not required to help end a war. And under this, what happens? You cannot take part in that war also, and you cannot help also to end the war. This is called neutrality. But NAM countries were not neutral. Why? Because they do not get involved in wars and do not take any position on the appropriateness or morality of a war. Non-aligned states including India were actually involved in wars for various reasons. They also worked to prevent war between others and tried to end wars that had broken out. Clear? So neutrality in general means that you will stay out of war also and you will not help also. But this was not the case with NAM countries or NAM member countries. Why? Because they do not get involved in wars and do not take any position on the appropriateness or morality of a war. So India, or you can say the NAM countries, were not taking sides of either Western Alliance and Eastern Alliance when their member countries were having a war. And after that, non-aligned states including India were actually involved in wars for various reasons. That means what non-aligned states were actually involved in war for various reasons, and they also worked to prevent war between others and tried to end the wars that had broken out. In some cases, there was an instance where India had a war, being a NAM members, with might be any of the alliances, that is Eastern or Western Alliance. Apart from that, they also work hard to end the war between these two alliances. Clear? So if you remain in neutrality, you cannot do that. You cannot do war also, and you cannot try to help end that war. But India or other NAM countries were involved in war also for some reasons, and along with that they also tried to stop the wars that had started between the two alliances. So in this way, what can be told? The NAM members are not isolated also and not neutral also. Clear? So with this we come to the end of this topic, and today we came to know about who are the founder figures of NAM, the 5 founder figures, and what was culminated at the first meeting in Belgrade in 1961 of the NAM, and along with that the non-alignment, according to which the non-alignment country cannot be told as what? Neutral also and isolated also. Why? What is the reason behind that? With this I will wind up today's topic. Thank you.